Okay, I think next we're almost done. I use the slides with Chinese because at one time I talked about IP portfolio management, and these two topics actually overlaps. So it's more of a subject for a company with more established IP portfolio. Then you need to go through these process routinely. In a company, you would actually review your portfolios. I think I leave some time for discussion is better. I'm trying to see, because it's a very long list in terms of how you can make your IP portfolio more valuable and manage it in a very efficient way. Granted that companies like IBM generate licensing revenues few hundred million or to $1 billion a year at one point. So they have to put into, first, human resource. They have a huge team of patent engineers, IP attorneys, patent attorneys, I guess some of them, patent licensing person like me one time. And they have also a lot of what we call, similar to enforcement team, what we call assertion team. They actually go out to the marketplace to assert patents against companies infringing their patents. I think that's actually conclude our discussion at this point. How do we maximize our IP value? I think you have to take a different look of the bridge and look at in a different eyes. I'm only using this as a quote from a philosopher from France, Marcel Proust. Okay, I think it probably would be more interesting to have some more discussions in terms of these subjects we discussed. Please.
So what is it you're actually offering to clients, and how much does it cost?
In terms of doing what?
I mean, if anybody wants to hire you here.
Oh, okay. You sound like you are from the US, right? If I'm a US attorney, I would say, oh, my hourly rate is this. And if you hire me, I will win your case. I will win you a big award. No, actually, it's really depending on what subject matter we do. So, for example, I'm part of this advisory firm. We do IP asset management, and we help clients to grow their assets, IP assets only, nothing with finance or anything. And we also help them to identify, targets to invest, or so if an investor. And these type of work are very difficult for clients to accept on an hourly basis. So we normally don't charge by the hour. We charge by the project, and we give milestones. So first milestone we reach, we should be given this amount. Obviously, we should be retained first. And second milestone, that's on a project basis, or on for investment part of the project. I represent several investment funds who invest into startups or IP-focused startups, meaning they have to have patents created out of the startups. And we work on basically retainer plus success fees. That's one. And if you're talking about filing patents or drafting patent applications or filing trademarks, filing domain names, these are very quantifiable and is very traditional type of engagement. These we have either an hourly fee or a packaged rate. Packaged rate meaning like if you want to file the patent, I in which country, we give you a package rate. Very easy.
So are you an angel investor?
Well, I didn't intend to be, but I was involuntarily dragged into several deals like this. So how would I characterize it? So I help companies to do work and they decided not to pay. And rather they say, okay, maybe you want to get some, if we become successful, you can get paid. Okay, I said, well, instead of always following the bills, maybe whatever, you give me. But honestly, I'm not in this investment. I don't think I'm qualified as an angel investor, but I don't mind to help startups if there is a quantifiable and definable subject matter. So if you want to file a patent application, and you're willing to find investors or participants or to co-own your invention, then we can consider that. But I rarely encountered any inventors who is very willing to do that, unless they found out their inventions are not so valuable. In the beginning, they think it's quite, and now honestly, I don't think it's good. It's not a good approach for them either, because if there is really their invention, they should not offer at the first place unless they have maximized the value. An example, I think the invention done by Thomas Edison is co-owned by him and his lawyer. His lawyer invested $25,000 US. And imagine that investment, the return of that investment. So that's why to say, like, we love to help startups, but you should really look at your value, intrinsic value, before you get. Well, obviously you need angel investors, because otherwise how do you grow a business? You need a little bit of money to push. But you should consider twice before you offer to your lawyers, your bankers, your accountants, and who else. You should grow the intrinsic value first, and then you negotiate your value. Otherwise, you're sold very cheaply.
Aren't angel investors basically that? They're getting a piece of the pie before the value has been maximized.
Yes, but that's because they bear all the risks.
Of course.
Yeah, I think angel investors are not. Well, if you go to a VC, obviously, they don't. What? They take a huge chunk of your startup before. So that's what I'm saying. But angel investors are the ones who put in money and to make it happen. You need some sort of incubation, right? I mean, like students from Hong Kong U, they have nothing to start. The school gave some money. They need someone to incubate. So I think it's okay for angel investors to get a return, because they bear the most immediate risks.
What about for independent IP audits?
Oh.
Firm doesn't use outside
Independent IP audit. If you ask, let's say a company would like to do an IP audit, you could actually do it in-house routinely, but you also retain an outside auditor at the end of the year to do an independent audit. Depending on how much depth you want to do the audit. So, for example, when I was at one time, I managed an IP portfolio for a company based in California called DTS. It actually is one of the best owns the best coding technologies, audio coding technologies in the world. It's a competitor of Dolby. If you look at all your TV or Blu-ray discs, and there always says DTS. Yeah, codecs. Yeah. DTS, yeah, we actually did routine audit. We have an audit team. The audit team actually look at basically a lot of factors of this particular IP portfolio family. We look at patent families. We look at trademark families. Sometimes we look at domain families, but domain is not one of the major because the cost of maintaining is also not so involved. So let's say we look at patent families, and if you turn out to be family A, it's going to be, we're going to stop selling the product in 2 years. We actually would think about abandon some of these patents in 2 years. And we would also not continue filing related patents. But if we wanted to grow in a particular area, we might want to file more applications in a way that we would put in more research R&D people in that area. Sometimes you hire more scientists or engineers and you do more inventions and you file more because that's the area you want to grow. So in short, you can hire outside, but mostly done internally because a lot of outside teams don't know your technology families very well. However, at Lucent or AT&T, we did have an outside consultant came in one time, but that consultant is very specialized in that particular area we were doing auditing.
Have you heard any dealings in deficit IP finance?
Ideas about
deficit IP finance.
I heard about it, but I'm not very. You are in this space?
No, but that's something I'm looking at right now.
Deficit IP financing.
Yeah, basically leveraging the IP to raise money against the IP.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe we are using different terms. Yeah, I work with some companies. Well, very simple examples. Few companies in the States decided to, like Nortel, for example, they are in a bankruptcy proceeding, and there are smaller companies as well, but they happen to have very good technologies protected by pool of patents. So unlike technologies, because it's difficult to transfer technologies, you have to have a lot of engineers, and you need to have process, and you need to basically help next user to implement this technology. So technology transfer is difficult. However, IP portfolio is easy, or patent portfolio is easy, because you sell the pool of rights, basically, and the rights is transferred to someone else. So those companies who are in bankruptcy proceedings, actually, we try to sell the patents to, to maximize their value to pay the creditors. And the other projects we work on right now is, I don't know, in the States and UK, there are actually already established funds. Basically, it's investment banks or investment, any sort of company in the financial area.
Another way of raising money is you ring-fence your IP in an offshore entity and then basically borrow against that, so with deficit IP financing, raise money against that without dilution on your major entity, which is operational.
Yeah, but the problem is very difficult to get financing out of offshore entities, only patents.
It doesn't have to be an offshore entity, just if you put it in the most tax efficient.
Yes, yes.
Location,
Let's say you have a separate
it's
entity.
ring-fenced somewhere. It doesn't have to be offshore.
Right. And you basically set up a separate entity, and that entity owns the patents, and then you can borrow money from these patents. Right. We more structured entities or licensing entities for clients. So it's more similar to what you are saying. Basically, because of the income tax on the licensing income is quite high in certain jurisdictions like the US, is taxed at the highest corporate rate. So we actually structure offshore entities to own the IP rights. And then we would do licensing deals out of the offshore entity, not the main entity. And then the licensing income, the royalty income, would reside with the offshore, or it could be distributed to other entities but can't be repatriated back. So I think it's similar to what you are saying, which is borrowing money. But I'm very curious to learn that which bank in Asia would actually grant you based on IP collaterals. I only know Bank of China does it, but I don't know any bank in Hong Kong.
Some Sharia banking.
Some what? Which one?
I can't get into that, sorry. There are groups who do this.
Yeah, there are. There are private investors or banks?
Yeah, they're financial institutions.
Yeah?
Yes.
Oh, that would be very interesting to explore, because we do have projects related to, you know, using IP assets.
Yeah.
Any other questions? There is a new, if no other question, I just wanted to share one story that is not a story, but there is a new, even yet kind of business that we are working on, or we help a company out of the States as well. They actually create just inventions. So I thought I'd like to bring it up because I found quite amazing that there is this concept created out of IBM in the 80s. It's called patent factory. Basically, you put a lot of genius or talented people in a room. They can actually create patentable technologies, inventions. And then I think because of the cutting and layoff and so on and so forth, there are lots of people out of IBM came out. There are also people from Intel and all of these big innovation outfits. They created a company that actually creates innovations. So what I wanted to say is we're not short of smart people in Asia or in Hong Kong or China, anywhere. But innovation requires a little bit of a different touch. It's not about how smart you are. It's about how you know how to think out of the box. So why not using these people to innovate for this marketplace? I think by using their innovation, we can actually take the next leap forward. Meaning, you learn about how to innovate, to think out of a box, then you can innovate better. So we have been proposing a few rather large companies, because this business model is successful, quite successful in the States or in Europe, actually in Japan and Korea starting, largely interfacing with large companies. But I'm thinking that actually could be applicable to small business as well, because Hong Kong and in general Southeast Asia has a huge it's a huge incubation for small SMEs, because we thrive on SMEs. Why not using some of these inventions? Because they are not that expensive. And you can actually define your goal, define your space, you define your concept, which area you want to be creating innovations, and obviously it should be protected. All the innovations they create are protectable by patents in the States, and you can actually bring them here, file your patent protections in China, in Hong Kong, in other countries. Then you can make a product out of it. That's my most recent last story I'd like to share. think about it. If you have a startup and you need some innovation, but you are not yet there, quite there, maybe you can convince your VC or your. But obviously, if you are a startup, you should have innovation. So what I was thinking about this idea is if we have they create a good pool of technologies and in one particular area. For example, they have a very good series of patents that relates to ODTS, which is nowadays we use taxi hailing applications. And it's patent protected. We could easily develop a very well usable app in Hong Kong. Now this app is not just an app. It could surpass many products right now. Uber or what's this one? Didi Dache, Ola. Yeah, it could surpass. It depending on how you develop it, because this pool of technologies has a lot of additional advantage and not existing app would be able to handle. So that's one. Other areas I can think of, they have, it's basically a mobile interrelated controlling for the air quality control system, and that's one. And there's a huge project being developed, already developed, number of patent applications in the financial technology area, which is covering, I think, lots of areas in Hong Kong. Well, if you think that's a good idea, please follow up with me afterwards. Okay.
So what do you think of payments?
Well, thanks for all coming.